62 degrees. It's about 9:30, and I just got done doing another load today. Oh, I don't know. There were some real rude people up at the storage place today that were from out of state. I swear, these out-of-state people, they just don't know how to act. Come to our state, be nice. Get out. You're gonna really like it when we go into lockdown again for about 6 more weeks. Boy, I tell you. So they're still dancing with the government checks. Now they decided today that, like, it's a major emergency, that they better get some checks out before they do that lockdown. Because I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a madhouse. It was bad enough this last time, and still now, with the violence and the mad people and the mean people and everything else. Yeah. Just make it worse with money, right? Jeez. But anyway, it ought to get interesting. So, today's discussion, one of my first boyfriends was Vince Puglisi. He was a little bit older than me, and he was a management recruiter. I don't even know if he's still alive. If he is, I probably ought to sue him. But because I was really young. But I was with him for several years and left him because he wanted me to do the girl thing, menage a trois thing, and all that stuff, and it's just not my thing. But anyway, that's another long story. But anyway, he's really brilliant as far as management recruiting, and the company that he worked for down at Figueroa in Miracle Mile District of Los Angeles, and right by Los Angeles, I'm not talking about where everybody goes, LA. You don't even know what LA is, because LA County covers 3/4 of the state, and when people say LA, to me, they're saying Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is a dirty, nasty sucker, okay? It is poo-poo, you know, and especially when the night falls, it's even worse. So, but this is Miracle Mile District, out by the museum there, and the La Brea tar pits and all that. It's Miracle Mile in Wilshire. And he made really good money. He made money according to the deals he cut. And what he did was, he had companies call him and say, look, we are looking for a lead guy, or management guy, or something. And so he would go through his files of people that he knew and has placed before, whatever, and he would locate a guy, and he'd call him and say, hey, this company would like to have you, would you consider relocating? And then here's how much money they're talking, and then they'll pay you for relocating, and what do you think? And it was kind of a back and forth deal. And sometimes the company would have to offer more money just to get this top-notch dude, or top-notch engineer, whatever it was they were needing. And then he would get like a percentage, like a bonus thing, for finder's fee type thing for the guy, and then if he lasted so long, he would get an extra bonus. So anyway, he was really, really good at what he did. He would work almost every day of the week. Sometimes at night, he would work till 9, 10, 11 at night in those offices. They gave him keys. He was a top management recruiter there, and the company was called Management Recruiters. Anyway, I heard my dad had told me that later he had left that company and then decided to open his own company. He stole like all of the files, like duplicated them all, and then brought them over to his business, and then was doing his own recruiting. And then my dad said he thought that he got charged for it and stuff, some kind of legalities. I don't know if it's true or not true, whatever. But anyway, So when I split up with him, he had just bought a Ferrari, and then bought this other girl a car. And I was like, dude, how come he's not buying me a car? Like, really? I was with him for a while. But anyway, I had gone to college at UCLA for fashion design and merchandising, real young, because my dad had the hookup. He taught in all the local colleges, and all the women were crazy over him, and he could get anything he wanted, and got me in there real young. So I was going to UCLA, night classes, going to high school in the day, and my dream was to be a famous fashion designer, move to New York, and make clothes like Mahogany, like the movie Mahogany. Anyway, in order to be really good at what you do, you need to know the market, you need to know what sells, you need to know what customers will buy, and so you work in the schmata business. That means selling clothes. Do we have another thing going on here again today, in the very same place? They used to have this scam in Arkansas where people would run out in front of your car and then claim they were injured and all that. So this is looking a little bit scammy to me, because now it looks like we have another incident of some sort. So I don't know. It's kind of looking like that. We got 3 guys looking around. Bicycle. Are we gonna actually move, or do I need to turn around? Yeah, that sure looks like a fire truck. I think a bicyclist got hit and then he got up on the bike and rode off. I don't know. But this is like about the very same place there was a thing going on here today. Anyway, so the big trick was to work in the schmata business, which is selling clothes, working in the clothing industry. And I mean, there's tons of clothing stores and name brand clothing stores, and I had worked for some of the best. And man, dude, you need to stop speeding, because it's a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, and you will pray that you are not a cop doing that. It's got some kind of rack on there. I don't know if it's really a cop or what it is, but it sure tailgated me like crazy. So anyway, sucker gotta be drunk back here. I may have to pull off the road, because this banana head is just right up my butt. Nope, not a cop. But he's playing with his phone on the dashboard. But anyway, they turned left, thank God. That was really creepy. So anyway, I had worked some of the finest in Marina Del Rey. I worked for Theodore, which that company still exists. Really expensive stuff, like a t-shirt's $100. And then I worked for Apropos, and I think it was Vin Baker shoes, where most of the shoes came from Europe. And then I worked for JPJ Fashions, and that was really terrible. I had top sales, and it was all older ladies, like really older ladies. And I never got to ring up one sale, and then they claimed that I stole money, and I wasn't even allowed in the cash register. Yeah, I had to bring my customers to the counter to have them ring them up because they wouldn't let me use a cash register. How you like that? And then I went to go meet with the owner to find out why I was terminated. He said because I stole money. And I was like, how would I steal money? One, I'm top sales in the whole store. And two, those older ladies would never let me near the cash register. They had the keys to it and everything, and they had to ring up all my sales. I was never allowed to ring up my own sales. And that was pretty bad. But anyway, they were just jealous because I was top sales. And I mean, these chicks were like 60 plus, so they were way older than me. But anyway, so their Century City was the big thing to work in. Century City, Beverly Hills, which I worked in Beverly Hills. I sold jeans at Britannia, and their jeans were $2.50 and up. But if you're an employee, you got half off. And, you know, Rodeo Drive had some wonderful stores there. But you had to have a snotball attitude and be real arrogant when you sold there. And I just didn't like being like that. I liked, you know, I did better selling to my customers, making friends with them, instead of being arrogant. Because that's what they teach you to do in Beverly Hills. They want you to be arrogant, so people like have to beg to buy your merchandise. And you had to hustle back then because it was pay plus commission. Sometimes it was pay versus commission, and sometimes it was only commission, and sometimes it was only pay. It just depended what company you worked for. But commission was always a big thing, and that's how, you know, salespeople were cutting each other's throats and really tripping people up and being dirty, because, you know, the ones that had the best commissions also got bonuses in the better companies, like when I worked for Leatherbound Ltd. So anyway, I went to Century City. They had this very nice newer mall they had built with a grocery store there, which to me sounded like a good idea, because people going to the grocery store might be tempted to come up into the mall. And the mall hours were pretty late, 9, 10 o'clock at night, you know, take, you know, an hour to close. So, because you always had to straighten the store up at closing, even though you straightened it all day long, you still had to straighten it at closing before you closed in case district man came in. So anyway, there was a lot of cool shops up there. There was C's Candies. They're really expensive. There was the, I can't think of the name of the stocking place. It's really famous. Albert's Hosiery, that's what it was. Albert's Hosiery. And when you bought your stockings, they put them in a box, a little gift box, flat gift box with tissue paper. And it was like a gold gift box with tissue paper. And you bought them by the pair. And so that was really fun to go up there because they always had the neatest stockings. I'd get glittery ones and seam up tobaccos and fishnets and all kinds of cool stuff. And because I was very much a dresser. I dressed to go to work. I dressed when I wasn't at work. So I was always stepping out. And because, you know, I was into fashion, you know, so I had to always look appropriate. So, even if I rode my bike or my roller skates, whatever, I was fashionable. So anyway, there's, you know, some of the bigger companies of the, oh gosh, I guess 30 and under clothes, would be like Campus Casuals, Casual Corner, Contempo, stuff like that. And I don't even know that any of those companies exist anymore, or they're only in California anymore. And they weren't real junky like Spencer's and some of this stuff they have today. They had really outrageously good looking clothes. I mean, they had super, super clothes. And they were a pretty good price, you know. They weren't dirt cheap, but they weren't super expensive. So, you had to get into a shop that had pretty decent prices, where it was a little bit higher than, cheap, and a little bit lower than grossly expensive, like Gucci, and you could, make some good money, especially if you had commission of any kind. So I wanted to go work at Casual Corner, which was a really big company, and the people that owned it were like bazillionaires, and it was a real big deal, and it was really, it was like above Contempo Casuals. It was just a hair above that, more expensive, and a little classier. Like, we actually had, wool blazers. I mean, we had, wool sweaters and gabardine slacks, and we didn't have all polyester and stuff like that. And it was really, they had some beautiful, beautiful clothes. And you just fell in love with everything in the store. It's horrible working in a clothing store, because every time you've got to straighten the racks all day long, or you lean it against a rack, you keep looking at stuff, and then you're like, man, I really like that, but I don't need to buy it. I need to save my money. And boy, sure as hell, you end up buying some stuff. And so you end up with nice clothes, and you get a little bit of an employee discount, but still. So anyway, I wanted that job at Casual Corner. Went in and talked to a lady. She was a little short lady. She was foreign. She was like, I don't know, she's Argentine or something. And little tiny lady, dark curly hair, glasses, really sweet. And I walked in because it said they were hiring. And I thought, I'm getting this sucker easy as pie, because I have experience with top notch. Higher class and better companies than what that was, by far. So getting in a medium place should be easy. So anyway, sure is getting exciting this evening. So anyway, dude, you got one eye out. They're gonna stop you. Better change that light out. But anyway, so they I talked to the lady and that, and they had offered me this wage, and it was like a little over minimum wage. So I called my boyfriend Vince, and I said, okay, I'm over here, and I'm trying to get this job, and I just, had a bit of a meeting with the manager, filled up my application, and I said, it says, pay desired on the application. And he tells me all the stuff to put on the application, what stuff not to, like references. He's like, references will be furnished upon request. Put that on there, and he just kind of led me through how to really do it right. And then he told me to put, for the pay desired, he said, put on there to be discussed. And I said, you sure? That might piss him off. He's, nope, just put on there to be discussed. Okay. So I did. So I did all that. Then, brought all the papers back in, talked to the lady again. She wanted to review it for a little bit. So she told me to come back in about 15, 20 minutes. And it was probably 6 o'clock at night by then. And I think that store closed at 9 or 10 in that mall, because the whole mall had to close. And so I think the grocery store closed first, and then the mall closed like a half hour or hour after that. I don't know what is going on around here, but anyway, maybe they're delivering food. Anyway, so I called Vince back and I said, okay, I did it, and I hope I didn't screw myself up. He said, don't worry, you didn't. He said, you've got to make them understand that you are worth the money. You've got to make them understand that they can't just pay you like the average Joe, because you're experienced in really high-end retail, and you were top sales everywhere you worked, and you've done it for a long time, and your references are fabulous, your work references. And I'm like, okay. He says, plus your college education. That's another thing, He says, that it makes them believe that you'll be an excellent employee. And you don't ever take off of work. You're never sick. You have a really good record, you know. And he did tell me to leave JPJ Fashions off because of the way they did me. So I'm like, what if they find out about that? He said, well, if you don't put it on the application, they won't. And I've always passed the security, because you always got to do all this security stuff when you're handling merchandise. They want to give you a lie detector test and all that junk to see if you're a thief, see? So, you got to be able to pass all that stuff, which I always pass that. And there's another secret to that I'll tell you about, how to pass those tests too. But anyway, so I went back in to see her and sat in the office with her, and she's like real serious with me and everything. And so she's, you know, discussing with me, you know, the pay. We get to that part, because I was good with everything else she said. Oh yeah, no problem, I can do that. Yeah, sure can. And so then, you know, she goes into the pay thing, and she says, now I see where you put, you know, to be discussed. And I said, that's correct. And I said, you know, you can see from my background, my education, my experience, my knowledge in the fashion industry, that, you know, I deserve so much more. She kind of looked at me, and I thought, boy, that'll be the end. You tell me, okay, the door's there. But no. So she reviews my application, looks at it while I'm sitting there, and she says, well, I can offer you this. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let me think about it. I've got to go to the loo. If you'll excuse me. Sure. So that's what I did. I ran down and I called Vince, and I said, hey, look, she's offered me this much money. He said, well, if she'll offer you that, she'll give you more. I'm like, Vince. He said, no, you tell her. You say, I would like to get, you know, I would like to get, you know, I think it was 50 cents out of her an hour, something like that. And then what you've offered. And then he says, and then tell her, say, I bet no one in this store has the experience that you do, you know, and that she won't regret it. And so I said, you sure? And he says, yeah. And he says, what's the worst that can happen? She'll only pay you what she just offered you, and that's good money. I was like, okay. So I ran back over there and caught her. She was in the middle of the sale, so I had to wait for the sale to be over, and that was okay. So it was actually good timing. And so then she called me back in the office, and we talked, and I said, well, you know, I'd really like to see like 50 cents more an hour on top of what you offered me, because I bet nobody in here went to UCLA for fashion design and merchandising. None of your employees. She said, nope, not even me. And I said, well, okay then. I said, and none of them have worked for high-end clothing stores like I have. Hell, I even worked Harris and Frank. That's all men's suits and stuff. I was the only female on the floor, and they hated me. But I made more sales than all those old dudes in there. They were old. They were like archaic old back then. And so, and what guy isn't going to come in and buy a suit from me? You know? Really? Yeah. They'd rather have a pretty girl tell them how good looking it really is. You know what I mean? And I have taste. I know how to put colors together and stuff. But anyway, so she did hire me, and I got that money. I really, truly did. I got that money. So, don't ever underestimate your value, okay? Don't ever do that. And always shoot for that little bit more. Whether you're a single parent, you have kids, you know, you have a nice car, you got to make car payments on. Try to shoot for that little bit more and see if they'll give it to you, because the worst thing that can happen is they'll only pay you what they offered. So, you know, that's my advice to you. And if you're working a job and you have left, don't ever let them offer you less money than what you left for doing the same exact job. That's another scammy thing, where they go, well, yeah, we want you back, but we'll you know, have to start you at minimum wage again and all that. Hell no. If they want you bad enough, it's like Management Recruiter. If they want you bad enough, they'll be paying for you. And what better thing is it than to have an employee that knows the business and has worked in their business, very experienced, and top sales, right? Don't ever underestimate yourself. Make sure to get your full worth, okay? And you know, like they always said, if you were so smart you'd own it, hey, if it gets bad enough, you can start your own business. You know what I mean? Forget working for these other jamokes. There you go. Talk to you later. You have a great one. Have faith in yourself. Love you.